swiftly moving on now to our next session, where we will be taking some advice for the brides. Leading this conversation is my colleague Richa Kapoor, and joining her on stage will be Rini Simon, former Doordarshan anchor, Vandana Shah, lawyer, Shivani Mistry Sadhu, a marriage counselor, and Meenal Bhatnagar, founder of Marigold by Meenal. Let's have a huge round of applause for our next panel that will be talking about the legalities of marriage and what that means for women. Richa Kapoor will be taking this conversation forward. Richa, over to you.
So I have a very, very interesting panel here with myself. We are going to be talking about advices to brides, and the topic is just adjust. Interestingly, I have a wedding planner here. Next is a marriage counselor, and then is a divorce lawyer. So exactly we're touching on all bases of what the bride should really be talking to. So very interestingly, I'll go to one after the other, but first I'm going to go to Rini. We all know her as the face of Doordarshan, someone who's always provided us with the right information. And now we're in the world where we talk about social media information. So Remy, back in the day to today, information medium have changed, a lot of things have changed. But unfortunately, the advice to brides and advice to girls has not. It continues to say, just adjust. You can be well educated, you can marry into a good family, but if there is a problem, don't come back home. What will the society say? Can you adjust? Why?
Thank you first and foremost for having me on the panel. I don't know what I'm doing here. You've got somebody who's a divorce lawyer, somebody who is, arranging marriages or matchmaking.
We're taking advice from you. We really need one.
Right. I haven't yet married anybody off, though I am a married person. But I'd like to disagree with you starting off, because I don't think advice is stationary or constant. It changes with generations, it changes with situations. And if today parents are telling their girls that they need to adjust, I hope they're telling their boys to adjust as well.
Yes.
Marriage is made of two genders. So at least the traditional marriages are made of two genders. I mean, of course, there are other kinds of marriages. But whatever the gender proportion is, the partners have both to adjust. So I don't think the advice is the same. If it is, then it's terribly wrong. We are sitting on a precipice of numerous breaks and divorces and,
yes.
Discord, as it were. We have to change that pattern, we have to change that. And it starts at home. So it begins with parenting. What are you parenting your children? Or how are you parenting your children?
In our entire day conversation, the conclave we've been on since morning, we've had this conversation where we spoke about, we want to bring about the change in our boys at home, how we teach them. Because all the time we constantly talk about telling our girls, dress properly, don't do this. A lot of us have heard this, don't do this, you're a girl, don't sit like this. But it's time now that we tell our boys, conditioning, self-love and conditioning our children at home. I think that's exactly where you come in.
Yes, I have a 35-year-old boy, and it has been no different for him. He also gets the same lessons as if I had a daughter, and I would expect the daughter that comes into my house to be a part of my family, to have also got the same kind of upbringing or same kind of parenting. So how do you sit, how do you talk, how do you walk, how do you interact with people is all part of the lesson. It's not directed towards marriage. It's directed towards making you an individual who's responsible, an individual who's contributing to the world around you.
It is about conditioning. Shivani, I would really want to bring you in here because you're the counselor here. You are a marriage counselor, and unfortunately, majority of the people think that you go to a marriage counselor when it's just before Vandana's action comes into being. That's before the divorce. You go to the marriage counselor, have a bit of a conversation, and the end. Is that the case? Or what Rimi said, conditioning. We need to come at a point in time to take therapy, to have a conversation and to understand where we are.
So, Richa, thank you for having me here, first of all. Most of the Indian couples, they think that going to the marriage counselor means they have a failed marriage, one. Second, the Gottman research says that 93% of the couples wait for typically 6 years before they seek professional help. And by the time they reach out for help, the damage is done. Therapy is expensive and change is really hard. Having said that, if you're waiting for 6 years, doesn't mean the problems didn't happen before. You just managed to brush things under the rug, and there comes a time when you don't want to be with that person. You know, there is so much of resentment, there is so much of stonewalling that happens, there is so much of bitterness that happens between couples, between families. So, yeah, that's quite hard, and it takes a lot of conditioning for the men especially to come to a therapist, because most of the Indian men are so entitled. They don't need a woman telling them, oh, you know, you're wrong here, let's talk about it. And they just stiffen up with the concept of going to a therapist, and that to a woman, telling him that he's wrong and he needs to change.
Yes.
Because most of the Indian men also suffer from Rajabeta syndrome. So they really haven't come out of their mother's womb.
Unfortunately, the mama's boy syndrome does not die off very quickly. Here, when we talk about the marriage counselor, you are actually meeting the couples, the families, at the time when they're deciding to get married. We talk about red flags, but we don't talk about green flags, which is also an important conversation to have. Red flags are something, I think it's very visible to everybody. You know, you see a problem and you call out. But green flags, which are important, which somebody should tell you, this is what you should see in your partner. This is what you should see if you expect a kind of in-laws you want to be with, or the kind of marriage you want to see it. Do you see any of that when marriages
Absolutely,
today?
absolutely. And I must tell you that I'm the first touch point. When the relationship decides to become a partnership, the first big project they do is get married. And the way that wedding is planned, the coming together of two families, usually it takes about 6 months to a year when you put your things in order and plan the wedding. As a planner, we're not only involved with the design and the decor and the curation, but we're also constantly managing the family's expectations for the event, from each other, it's quite a large project actually. The green flag is that at the end of the day, when the wedding celebration is over, and everyone's dancing together and mingling together and all of that, you can't really tell who the girl side is and the boy side is. It's kind of like the biggest green flag. The red flag, unfortunately, and we see this often, though I have to say that our society is so dynamic that there's no one discourse or narrative that says, oh, this is what an Indian wedding is. Girls have to adjust, boys. It's not just, there are all, in 1 week, I can have a wedding, have organized a wedding of a family where we saw more red flags than we wanted to. And 4 days later, there could be a couple who probably went to the same university as the other kids. So everything else remained.
Diversity is what our country is.
Yeah, but their wedding would be a complete green flag, as you said. So I think the wedding planning, and I haven't been that wrong. I told you this. I've been doing this for around 10 or 15 years now. I have been able to mostly be right about when there is an issue. A lot of the weddings haven't lasted as well, unfortunately. The first sign was wrong. When you couldn't negotiate, when your voices weren't heard, when one party was asked to surrender and the other was kind of taking over the entire project, it may be as small as what rituals they should go with, or what the color of their table napkins could be, but
it starts
there's
from
a
something
telling.
very
There's
small
a telling.
and very early. It's
Yeah.
about not noticing the obvious. That's always been the problem. Vanna, you come in and fortunately, unfortunately, that's where your money is. People wanting not to be together.
Correct.
But we see a large change now. We see a lot of divorces happening. People being very vocal about asking for a divorce nowadays.
Correct.
Back in the day, we did not hear that. What is the reason for this change?
Firstly, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me on this panel with really great women. I like the composition, at every stage there is someone. It'll be nice to hear a round of applause for all of us. Coming to your question. So, basically divorces are like that unwanted house guest who's here to stay. The number of divorces in India over the past 10 to 15 years, and this is an unofficial figure because, I've been going to court for that long. When I started about 15 to 18 years ago, there were barely 20 matters up in the family court. Today, when I go, it can sometimes be as much as 120 matters. So you do a thumb count,
Yes.
and you get that it is grown by about 6 times. And has it changed the stigma around divorce? Not much. Have the conversations around divorce evolved? Not much. There is still that, I'm probably one of the few people who says it really proudly that, I am a divorce lawyer. So each time I say I'm a divorce lawyer, people have these really weird reactions, right from kiki to, oh, अच्छा तो आप शादियां तोड़वाती नहीं, मैं शादियां तोड़वाती नहीं हूँ. Just because there are hospitals being built doesn't mean that they are encouraging people to fall sick.
Absolutely.
So what is my role really? When a couple comes to me and they say things are not working out, and I try to advise them to see if there are certain things which are negotiable. Certain things may be negotiable. For me, 2 non-negotiables are abuse. You cannot be in an abusive marriage.
Yes.
And I say that with a lot of authority because I was in a really bad abusive marriage. So I restarted my life with just 750 rupees in my bank account. But here I am sitting in
Kudos to
front
you.
of you
This
all.
calls for a big round of applause.
And speaking over here. And the second non-negotiable is becoming invisible in a marriage. Coming to what she said that, it starts with the little choices.
Yes.
That, okay, no, your choice is not good enough. So my choice will prevail. Or like what she said, that, you have your conditioning. It can be for a boy or a girl, but it has to be similar, that you all need to adjust. So, but divorces are here to stay. The numbers are growing, and I think they will continue growing. So it's best to be prepared with a divorce kit.
So Rivi, talking about divorces increasing, what is you have kids who are not married yet, but they would have friends around, you would know a lot of people. What do you think, what has changed around us that people are now agreeing, all right, otherwise back in the day people would go on with an ugly marriage, an abusive marriage?
Well, we were given the mandate to adjust, right? So that's a generation that grew up saying, all right, we'll adjust. The new generation will not adjust. And I'm so happy about that. The fact that she gets more business is a sideline to it. The point is this, that you are not willing to let your voice get stifled. You're not willing to be invisible. You're not willing to become someone who's disrespected. Those are fundamentals to a relationship.
Yes.
And if you don't have that correct, then there is no way that you can, whether you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, whether it is formal or informal, nowhere are you going to get happiness.
The foundation is very important, and the foundation is built at home with your parents' understanding. Shivani, that's the understanding where she came from when she was talking about abuse. There was a movie called Thappad, and in that it was, you can't slap me even once. It's not about people who were in that movie kept saying, oh, it was just one slap. I'm sure you must be having cases like that, people like that.
So Richa, I feel a healthy relationship should have absolutely watertight boundaries. One more time you slap me, I'm going to call the cops. One more time you cheat on me, I'm going to leave you. One more time you drink, and I'm going to bundle you to a rehab. Abuse is absolutely non-negotiable. Unfortunately, people only look at physical abuse when somebody is slapping.
Yes.
People don't talk about gaslighting when you actually questioning your own thought process, your own self-confidence. Am I thinking it correctly, or
Am I cooking it up?
yeah, and then you don't need to blame stress for that. Maybe you're being gaslit. And nobody talks about stonewalling. Nobody talks about the seething resentment you have against your partner, or vice versa. Nobody talks about financial exploitation when finances are being controlled or not given to the woman especially. These are all forms of domestic abuse. Unfortunately, nobody talks about that.
Vandana,
Yeah.
I really would
But
want
the
to...
law does.
Yes, and I want to bring you in over here. Is this a major reason for divorce when a woman is earning more than the man? Is this a cause of divorce nowadays if the husband is the homemaker?
Absolutely. You know, in India, we haven't woken up to the fact that of what is called a house husband. You know, and we still keep expecting the woman to keep making all the changes. If there is a transferable job, the woman must give up her high-paying career and move with the husband. Never mind the husband is earning 1/10 of us. And I have a matter which is with me, where the lady has a job with Google. Husband is still quote unquote hunting for a job. It's 3 years, he's still not got a job. And the in-laws expect her to come back to India from the Silicon Valley, come back to India, they're staying in Jharkhand, and come and help the husband to look for a job. I mean, this girl is earning $500,000 a year. Give me a break. And we are still having this conversation and still having this discussion. And she said, ma'am, I just can't cope with it. I want out. You know,
Why do you consider these situations continue to happen? I would like to believe that the crowd I'm sitting in, the girls we were talking to, Gen Alpha, Gen X, I'm a millennial here. I would like to believe that the change has happened. I have a progressive husband. I'm married into a progressive family. But unfortunately, that's not what I see around myself.
Richa, my biggest, problem that you try to adjust with is this, that we're looking at marriage as the final destination. You know, we bring up our children saying that, oh, you finally have to get married, you have to settle down. Okay?
Settling down.
Yeah,
God knows what settle down means.
What is this settle down? You know, and
Yes.
why does it have to be different from what you were 20 years ago, or
Even
15
5
years?
years.
Yeah, exactly. So I think some of those concepts that we are, walking around with need to be dropped very, very firmly. The Gen Z has understood
Yes.
that there is a financial power that is available to me, and hence that comes with, a plethora of choices which were not available to many of us before. Some of us who broke that mold and got out did so, but you did it on your own.
On terms, yes.
Yeah, there was no support system that helped you and said, okay, this is something that, we'll encourage you to do. This concept of adjusting has come only because the system is holding you back. The parents are not allowing you to open your, wings and go out.
fly.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're financially independent, choices become easier. I mean, you are a financial independent woman, you have your own business, and you're doing it all by yourself.
And I'm a single mother.
And you're a single mother.
So,
Very proud of you over here.
So when and being a wedding planner, I did decide to walk out of my marriage. And I feel like, and I wish I could tell all the brides who come to me, and that's the, like I said, starting point of the relationship. Unfortunately, we as women are still raised with the standard of when you grow up and you get married, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can
Do your holiday then.
It's
Look
a
for
ticket
a-
that you offer.
Look for a boy who's well established. He should have this degree. He should be from this background. The conversation, I don't remember my mother actually ever saying that marry a nice boy. Let him have good values. That was like, oh, if it comes along, it's great that, he's the CEO of this company and he's very well natured.
Shivani,
You see-
so here we
Yeah.
say the package the boy is earning continues to be more important
The bigger
than
highlight.
actually the kind of emotions he would have for you or towards you. We know a lot of people who have marriages because of convenience. They're just not able to tell their parents that they don't want to marry a girl or a boy. But we are getting cases like that.
Yes, we have had cases where children are getting married because of against the parents' wishes. Because parents want to get them married to a certain boy or a certain girl. Because I again think that Indian children are still afraid of their parents. They can't tell the parents that I don't want to marry here.
Vandana, here I would want to bring you in because a recent case we all have seen. And the girl says it was easier for her to take someone's life than to tell her parents or to confront the situation.
That's
Have you
correct.
had cases like that or met someone
That
like
is
that?
bizarre. That is completely
I mean,
bizarre.
that
I think that is
completely off
yes,
the charts.
Yes.
So I just want to say that, yes, both boys and girls find it very difficult to tell their parents, especially in a certain setup, which is the business houses marriages. a lot of them have come out and said, but ma'am, I never liked girls. I know a very prominent business family. And he said, ma'am, now I finally want out. I have done my bit. I've got 2 sons to carry on the legacy. I don't want to be in this marriage anymore.
So, Rimi, over there,
So,
the pressure on the boy as well.
there's
We
pressure
do.
on everyone.
The pressure on everyone. It is
Yeah,
just
well-
not the women. Sometimes the pressure on the boy, we don't know.
Yeah.
They can also be facing an issue or a situation wherein they're just stuck because their father or mother wants them to get married.
But that's the whole thing, that, you know, everybody in India, we want to listen to our parents all the time, which is great. But at some stage, if we don't want to get married to the person of their choice, or what some Mami ji or Chachi ji or Bua ji has got some rishta, which I find bizarre, you can turn around, my choice may not be Bua ji's choice.
No, that's-
I may like Shah Rukh, Bua ji may like Dilip Kumar.
Absolutely.
You know, so I don't want to go with Bua ji's choice anymore.
But that's when really what you spoke about self-love. It is important that if somebody has discovered self-love within, they are content and they're happy. They might have the guts to tell people, I don't want this.
Yeah, I think, the foundation is communication, and if there is no communication within a family unit, it becomes impossible for anyone to be able to develop their own personality. You're always going to be in the shadow of somebody else and, emulate that person's lifestyle or, ideals or whatever it is. I talked to you about those red flags. We don't talk enough of the green flags.
Yes.
How many of us actually look at a marriage and say, okay, these are the things that should be in a marriage. This is what an ideal relationship will be. And if we have those role models around us, how many parents are pointing them out and saying, look at that. See how he resolved that issue. We're all going through the similar kind of problems.
Yes.
How many of us are going to counselors? How many of us are actually dealing with it on a different level and not allowing this problem to balloon into something which lands up at a divorce lawyer's, door? So I'm saying, start home, start with your child, have that conversation today. Even if the child decides to have a traditional marriage, even if he goes in or she goes in for an arranged marriage, there are good things in everything. Learn to recognize them.
I think one takeaway from this conversation that I have, and I want everybody over here and listening to us, is communicate. Just to listen and just to advise is not the thing, but it is actually to communicate. If we communicate with our partners, with our parents, with our family, it will always help. Thank you all for being with us today
Thank
and
you
for
so
this
much.
very exciting conversation.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I like the fact that there's a token man who's come in and he said, I must be a part of this conversation. He's still standing.
Thank you very much.
very much.
Thank you to all of you for joining us.